Okay, students, let's carry on with video number 3. We carry on discussing our terms. The next term we look at is phonics, to do with the relationship between phonemes. Remember, phonemes, if you look back at the previous slide, has to do was the name for the smallest units of sound. Phonics is the relationship between these sounds and the words that they form. You use them when you decode words in reading and when you encode words in writing or in spelling them specifically. Then we have sight words. Sight words are meant or are whole words that are meant to be memorized. Um, these One technique often involves the use of flashcards. You'll remember earlier I said to you, if we just go back, um, sorry, I'm too far. These two definitions of reading, sight words would fit into the top one, the identification of words. Okay, back to our definitions. One sight words, words that are associated with particular themes, individuals, and activities. So that if we, for example, have the word farming, uh, other words associated with farming would be crops, livestock, uh, fertilizer, tractors, a word like maize, that's all specifically linked to farming. Okay, if we move on to high frequency words, common words, in written material, these include words like or determinants like the and a. They carry very little meaning on their own, but they help with the understanding of unknown words, and they are often phon- phonically not regular, which means you don't say you don't you say the word according to its sound. You don't say the word the is the her you say the. It's a combination of the T and the H phonic. The first one of the approaches we will look at is the bottom up approach. Many of you will have learned to read from this, or at least used a part of it. Reading starts with the phonemes, then moves on to the phonics itself and the combination of phonemes with various relationship between these different phonemes on a semantic level to sentences, paragraphs, and then the meaning of the text as a whole. You would also tell me that you learned using the top-down approach, where you start with the text as a whole um, and you work down to individual components. Wat dit basies beteken is die kind kry 'n teks, hy kyk na goeie soos die opskrif, prentjies, onderskrifte, bekende woorde, temas en so voorts. Hy maak 'n bepaalde assosiasie en dan gaan hy van daar af verder na die individuele detail van die teks. Volgende is the interactive approach. It considers the relationship between meaning as well as the individual words and phonemes. Dit gaan natuurlijk nie werk as daar nie 'n gedeelde konteks is nie. So alhoewel hulle daar sê beide is belangrik, die belangrike ding agter die ding is eintlik maar die konteks, want as die kind nie die konteks daar agter het nie, gaan hy of sy dit nie verstaan nie. Okay, let's move on to the teaching of reading. We've got about a minute and a half left before we must stop again. The first thing I want to introduce to you with regards to the teaching of reading, many of you would have said, but sir, we used bottom up and top down approach. That is very true. The combination of this is called the interactive model. It uses the bottom up and the top down models of reading, specifically looking at the first additional language learner's experience. Dit maak ook gebruik van Commons Common Underlying Proficiency, waar die onderbou van die huistaal gebruik word om die eerste addisionele taal te fasiliteer. Importantly, interaction has to take place within a context that both the teacher and the learner is familiar with. Otherwise, there would be no meaning behind that. So dit is baie belangrik. Dit help nie jy gee vir die leerder 'n teks wat jy baie goed verstaan waarmee jy kan assosieer, maar hy of sy het geen assosiasie daar agter nie. Goed, hierdie gaan aan die einde van video nommer 3 wees. Ek sien julle kortliks vir video nommer 4.